right. Well, welcome back to the Integrate Intelligently podcast. Scott Brickler here, flying solo today. Just some technical difficulties, but I'm here with our first guest of the podcast, Mr. David Trout from SolutionsX. Great to have you
Hello,
today,
everybody.
David.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is going to be a lot of fun. I didn't know I was first, so hope I don't mess it up for you.
Our very first guest, yeah, actually, it's just been me and Jeff talking back and forth, which is so it'll be a nice break from having to hear us brothers talk all the time. So. That's great. Well, let me go ahead and give you a little background for David. David's a president of SolutionsX. He's a highly talented business management individual with over 25 years of accounting, engineering, operations management, materials management, and inventory control experience. David has implemented multiple ERP packages with different environments and has been working on materials management and manufacturing in all aspects of the planning process. So, overview of David's role with SolutionsX and in relationship with Scott and Jeff. We've known each other. How long we've known each other now, David? Probably.
Oh, it's been a minute.
Oh yeah, at least like 15 years. I think 2009. I think I was actually working with you at the previous company when you were implementing Infor CSI, I believe.
That's right. Yeah, SyteLine at the time. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, SyteLine. That's right. So yeah, it's been a minute. So and then obviously So we've known each other a long time. I guess we can jump right into some introductory questions. So I'm actually either read a little bit of a prompt because Jeff usually leads these things, and he's down in Florida this week, people, and I think he's in the middle of a hurricane. That's why I'm flying solo. So we'll see. Excuse me if I keep I'm looking to the left over here. So I don't have everything memorized, but
yeah. Well, hey, real quick, the crazy part about that hurricane is that it left Florida 2 days ago, but the tails just keep whipping through there and coming all the way across the land. So he's over closer to the East Coast, and it just keeps whipping the Gulf Coast, and then goes right on across the land and whips them over there on the East Coast too, even though the eye of the hurricane is way up the East Coast of the United States. So it's just been a crazy hurricane this time.
Oh yeah, because you were saying earlier before we hit record that like there's like cars in Sarasota underwater and things like that.
I saw that on the news today. I think, do we have to drop like who that's like? We got to give props to Fox News for saying that or something. That's where I saw it. So anyway, so I don't want to have any copyright infringements or anything like that.
Yeah, they probably appreciate the shout out anyway.
Well, that could be. So do we got to say I saw it on CNN too? That way, we even it out.
Yeah, I got to even it out. Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. We're very middle of the road here in the Integrate Intelligence podcast. Awesome. Cool. Well, so can you go to do a little bit of background on what SolutionsX does for its customers, and I think we already talked about it, but what ERP do you primarily work with?
Yeah. So we're an Infor Gold channel partner, and we sell and implement Infor's manufacturing-centric ERP for the small to medium business sector, and it's called CloudSuite Industrial today, formerly known as SyteLine. So they kind of made a name change several times. I think it was for a little bit there, it was when the wind blew, somebody changed the name of the product, and then they fired that marketing person, and the name changed again. That kind of thing. But everybody knows it as SyteLine. It's still the SyteLine user network is the number one user community for it. So it's SyteLine, and we actually still call it SyteLine if you deliver that in an on-prem world, but it's CloudSuite Industrial, the same ERP, SyteLine ERP, when deployed in the web or in the cloud. Sorry, it's called CloudSuite Industrial.
CloudSuite Industrial, yeah,
it's in the web. That's kind of cool. That's one of those interwebs things. It sounds like I really know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. we learn all those fancy terms. Oh, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know. A business partner, maybe. So SyteLine ERP. That's our primary. So it has a bunch of appendant applications that go along with it as well. A factory track, so a shop floor application, some service. It does a lot. Not just manufacturing, but one of the things that we're doing now really is we're not concentrating so much on the ERP side of the Cloud Suite. It's a technology solution that we're selling and deploying to our customers now. So it's so much bigger than ERP. ERP is just a small part of it today.
Yeah, it's got this. I think with Infor buying up all those different packages and kind of combining, all these different things, it's these systems have gotten a lot more complex and a lot more, they're more like entire. They kind of everything from quote to cash and everything in between they're trying to cover. So it's their huge packages. I know Infor, I believe it's the third largest. It's the second or third largest ERP in the world now, isn't it?
Yeah, third. And, they gave me a little bit of a script, not quite like, hey, here's each question. And, I handed them off to somebody to write answers for me. But you're jumping ahead in your script, man. So, you're stealing my thunder. But yeah.
Oh, well, no,
it's okay.
We go off the cuff as we need to.
So Infor has grown a bit. They're a $3.5 billion annual revenue company now. And that makes them the third largest ERP company in the world. Yeah, there's bigger software companies out there, that SFDC company, whatever, I forget what that stands for, something like Salesforce.com or something, but they're pretty big. But 3.5 billion annually, that, I wouldn't want to have to disseminate that budget. That's a lot of zeros.
That is a ton. That's 10. How have you seen SolutionsX grow during your time?
Well, so back in 2010, I was employee number 3. If you count the two founders, I was employee number 3. So it was just the 3 of us in 2010 when we started, and now 14 years later, we have 42 people and their families that rely on us. So that's a pretty big deal. That's an increase of 39 in 14 years. So that's a big deal. And I said it that way on purpose because it's really about that for us. Our growth, we do our growth by deciding that we're going to add a couple of people, and then that's going to produce some revenue growth, hopefully. And sometimes we add 3 people, so two that add to the, and then one that maybe supports it. So our growth is starting to slow a little bit, but it's really about we grow the people, and then the revenue goes where it comes. One of our folks just recently asked me about that. Said, David, where are we going? What's the end game here? Are you looking for, you're trying to hit 20 million a year? What is it that you're doing? And it set me back a little bit because I'd never really thought of it that way, Scott. I just thought it was always about, provide a great product out there to our customers and grow a little bit, add a head count here or there. We do a lot, in our business. It's not just the sale of the software that brings in the revenue. It's actually the implementation. So it's the services, it's the work with the customer directly. And so most of our revenue comes from, you got to work an hour to get paid an hour type thing. And so we kind of looked at it like, hey, go out there, try really hard to find great people. You can't find 10 of those a year, 20 of those a year. It's not going to happen that way. You're going to find 2 or 3 maybe. And so each year, I task the team with go get 2 or 3, and then we'll see how we do. Make sure that we're providing a good product out to the customer. So the growth is not a target of, some revenue dollar. It's a just continued steady growth and make sure that we're able to provide a good product. We could double that number quickly. But I'm afraid that our product would deteriorate, and just not willing to do that.
Yeah, sounds like one of our values here at CADTALK is outstanding outcomes. Sounds like you guys share that value as well. You could grow the services company faster by having less talented consultants.
That's right.
It sounds like you're really targeting picking the best talent, to go out there and implement customers. Is that kind of the way your guys' direction as well?
We're sure trying it. Yep, we're sure trying to. I know that it's. So Brian Miller, our Senior Vice President of Operations, has been tasked primarily with that growth. And I know that it's difficult for him. He really struggles to hire the right people, to find and hire the right people. So it's tough. So you don't get hired here unless we really believe in you. So if any of our employees are listening, you now know that we really believe in you. So you wouldn't be here. So.
Yeah, it was like I think I heard something the other day. It was like, you have to be good to get to work here. You have to be great to stay here, which I thought was a good way to do it.
I do like that one, but it's, there's a little bit of a twinge of, hey, we might get rid of you. And we don't really do that. So we've been really, really fortunate to make sure that the people are great fits, when we get them here. So fortunate or lucky or both, I don't know, but I'll take it. Whatever it is. So our turnover is very little, very, very low. And most of the time when people leave, it's because, they had something else happen in their life, and they needed to do something different or wanted to do something different. So really it's our people. So now that we kind of got on that track though, I do want to say that one of the biggest reasons for the success over the last 14 years is the people, and the fact that we kind of take an approach of the most important thing at SolutionsX is our employees. And the second most important thing are our employees' families. And then third, it's the client. And somebody asked me one day, what's that? Well, what about the company? Where's the company in that? So you're saying the company's fourth? No, the company's third, because it's the employee, their family, and then the customer. Yeah, I know, David, you said customer, but I want to know about company. Right. That's the same thing to us. It's all about the customer is the company. So hopefully that's not too, sappy, but
No,
that's how we feel about it. So
yeah, I think a great way to look at it is like, the season's won with the draft, right? So the picking of the amazing people really makes the difference, and and what you deliver, and then making sure. And then in order to get those people, you have to put them first in order to make sure that they want to stay and they want to fulfill that mission, which is, and then so we have to make SolutionsX has to make the people the most important thing, and their families, and doing that order is important in order to get the best talent. Sounds like.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's had a huge impact on our culture. We love our culture here at SolutionsX. Our employees consistently come back to us with, man, it's a great place to work. Mission accomplished. That's what we're after. 42 people and their families. Loving it.
Awesome. That's great stuff. Let me let me look at the questions that we have prepped here.
You better look at the time too, because I tend to talk a lot. So, we might get in trouble.
Yeah, that's all right. Let's okay. How have you seen your ERP solutions benefit the manufacturing companies you work with? What are the major advantages of upgrading your ERP?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the publisher's, preferred answer to that.
Sure.
The software publisher's preferred answer would be that the ROI for the implementation of the ERP software comes from many areas of the business. Depends on what the greatest pains are, what their challenges to growth are. And the software brings in some low-hanging fruit, improved inventory accuracy, all the stuff that you might think about a new ERP package would do. And all of that's true and fantastic stuff. And that's why, and we have a fantastic product to do that with. Infor's CloudSuite Industrial is our favorite. So as you said in your intro, I have actually had the opportunity to work with multiple ERP packages, both as a user and then also to implement them. So I've actually implemented 4 different ERP packages in my career, and that's why it's white here. So there's it's a lot of work to do that, but I've had 4, and we chose CloudSuite Industrial because it's the best one. So the product is great. And so how has it helped people? It's helped in doing all of that low-hanging fruit stuff, improved inventory accuracy, that kind of stuff. But what we really believe at SolutionsX is that if you're given the right implementation team, every company would benefit to some degree just from the process of performing the ERP implementation. So it's a great opportunity to review your standard operating procedures. You're gonna say, hey, here's how we did it before. We'll say, yeah, but you have a new ERP now, so you're going to do it different. And that gives our consultants an opportunity to come in and bring some industry leading practices to your organization, to say, hey, here's what everybody else is doing, or what many of the leaders in your space are doing. And so you can take advantage of that stuff. So the benefit really comes from looking at it as a strategic type of initiative instead of a tactical one. And so companies overlook that fact a lot. I think that can be scary for smaller companies. Spending money for a strategic initiative seems to hurt a little more. It's easy to say, my router went down. That's going to cost me $400,000. So here's a check for $400,000, rather than saying, well, yeah, you need a new ERP package. That's going to cost me, $1 million. By the time you get to, implementation and that kind of stuff, it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to get $1 million worth of benefit out of this thing. And in my experience, you absolutely will. But sometimes they're harder to see, the strategic impact of it is. Absolutely. So yeah. You ask about major advantages. I think it's probably new technologies is probably the number one thing that's the biggest advantage. Infor, just looking at them, they have a enterprise automation group over there that is focusing on things like robotic process automation, and augmented intelligence, digital assistance, machine learning, all of that kind of stuff. And you don't get that with your old ERPs, or, if you're just on QuickBooks or something like that. So a new ERP implementation brings new technology to the table for you, and, things that you just wouldn't think of unless you were in a big project like that. An ERP, selecting an ERP and moving forward with an ERP implementation it's a big deal. Right? It takes a lot. And when companies just don't do it willy-nilly, and when they do, if you make it a big enough deal, if you make it a big enough, if you broaden the scope of your project to say, hey, let's look at all of the technology that we're using today and see how we might be able to improve that. I think that's what you're going to get the most advantageous for you, I think.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, I know it's like one of the things that, from, working around this industry for a long time is that, it's like, it's a big event, it's like a big, to change systems is a big event. And I think the statistics that I heard that is like people change every 10 to 15 years, they change these things. And one of the things we try to tell customers, we talk to customers a lot about lately, is this idea of, can you make it more of a like, how do you make it like, because I think the event scares a lot of people. It's like, I'm going to go spend a bunch of money and do this, like almost like buying a piece of machinery, right? I'm going to go buy a machine for a bunch of money and then put it in and then could you actually do it as more of like a continuous process, as more of like just a process that you do, like obviously not implementing a new one, but like as you're improving
Right.
it and things like that. I think that what we find is that people try to do everything at once and then get back to doing the business.
Yeah.
Whereas like really the way it works is that they get something in place and they kind of refine it a little bit all the time. And that seems to work better. At least that's been our experience. That tends to work better than trying to pack it all into one big event and do it all kind of a big bang approach versus to kind of an incremental improvement approach. I mean, you have any thoughts on that? Or?
Yeah, it's very well said, and certainly something that we believe in, and why one of the reasons anyway that we created our customer success program at SolutionsX, and it really has to do with those months immediately following a go live and then the years after. So one of the things that happens over there in that department is that they're reaching out to all the customers, staying in touch and finding out what their digital transformation strategy is, as they're moving forward, and making sure that we stay relevant in that and kind of push them for, continued improvement along those lines. We're so fortunate to have the Infor suite of applications available to us. And most of what our customers need, because we focus primarily in the manufacturing industry. So most of what our manufacturing companies need, we have direct access to, including some things I think we're going to talk about here in a little bit about integrations and whatnot. I think we're going to get to that.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. I mean, obviously that's the world that we live in over here at CADTALK, the integration side. But I just know we have we've talked a lot over the years, and kind of continuous improvement and implementations are definitely like how you approach them is, I think, a little bit different. So I wanted to make sure we double clicked on that, because I think a lot of people think of it a certain way, and I think the audience would love to hear like how you guys approach it differently. So
yes. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, we'll do that in a minute. No, that's all good.
Yeah, and then so I mean, how? Well, I actually go ahead and double click on that, and then we'll get into integrations right after that. So yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So we're actually working on a project right now called Project Flying Colors at SolutionsX, and what Project Flying Colors is in support of our idea that customer satisfaction is huge. Now that we know, I'm not some visionary. Everybody knows that's the thing. I just read a book very recently about the customer's journey and how they feel, that kind of stuff, and all of that resonated with us here at SolutionsX. And so, as you indicated, we kind of approach an implementation possibly a little different than some of our peers, in that it's really about the business requirement that a company has, and not so much the process that they currently go through. And so we concentrate on what the business requirement is. So some ask, what's the difference between those two? So it is a requirement that I ship product out to the customer. The process that I go through to get that done might be enter a customer order line, pick it, pack it, add packaging, add freight cost, put it on a truck and send it. That's the process. The requirement is I have to do a shipment to the customer. So what if the business process changes to I just completely manufacture everything to a warehouse, and I send a note over to a warehouse electronically, and the truck shows up and a robot goes and picks it up and puts it on the truck and ships it. Both of those things got product shipped. They're both very different processes. And so we concentrate on what the requirement is, and then take the best, most economical way or efficient way to get that requirement accomplished for the customer. So that's where that industry leading, consulting comes in for practices and stuff like that. So we approach it that way for sure. We believe that constant communication and honest communication, candid communication. Sometimes it's not easy to say, Mr. Customer, you messed this up. So we try really hard not to do the finger pointing. What we try really hard to do is to just say, hey, here's where we are today. It's not where we thought we wanted to be. It's not where we planned to be. But here's where we are today. So what are the adjustments that need to be made? We have those conversations weekly if need be. And so as long as you keep your thumb on the pulse of what's going on for that particular implementation and make those adjustments, keep you course corrected, then you end up at the right place. And I think that's a little different for us. And another part of Project Flying Colors is a small program that we're calling SuccessX. And what we've decided to do is to send out weekly surveys. Now, before you go flying at that, there are 4 questions. It's did you have an interaction with your project manager this week? And if the answer is no, it's question number 2. Did you have an interaction with your application consultant this week? And if the answer is yes, it was rate that from 1 to 5, and you just pick the 5, or you pick the 4, that kind of thing. And then, we, of course, there's a feedback loop where you could type something if you want to, but you'll answer these 5 questions and you'll answer them every week. Every member of the project team does that. And those answers all get, compiled digitally, and the outliers, we get notified if somebody hits a 3 2 weeks in a row, or somebody hits a 2 or a 1, we go, whoa, wait a minute. Something happened, So it takes literally moments, from the customer's time, but the information that we get back from that is invaluable to us. So that's just a small part of Project Flying Colors. Why do I call it Project Flying Colors, you ask? I thought you were going to ask me that.
Yeah. Why do you call it that? Yeah.
So I don't know if it was something from my youth or whatever. It was like, how was that? How did you make it through that? Oh man, with flying colors. So whatever that means, it probably has some kind of British, shipping thing or something. I don't have any idea, but it means really, really well to me. That's what it feels like. Did you make it through that? Yeah, barely. Oh no, we made it through with flying colors, man. Kind of thing. And so we really want our customers to feel like they made it through their ERP implementation with flying colors. And so that's why I named the project Flying Colors.
Yeah,
make it so much better so that the customers will want to sing our praises and actually be happy with not only their team, their implementation team, which we get almost all the time, but also to be happy with their purchase and believe that they really did get the value that they were promised at the sale.
Yeah. It seems like that, like, 'cause a lot of times these things involve kind of, because it's a lot of I would say it's probably easier to give them, like, to take their current process and just make it work in the system they have or something like that. And that's what a lot of people want you to do. So instead of giving them what they want, you kind of give them what they need. And which is sometimes harder. And sometimes you might not get the people might not like that. It was maybe, but at the end, the idea is to give them the best outcome. It's how do we give them the best outcome at the end, knowing what, and be able to really get advantage and get the ROI on that investment. Because if you're investing in an ERP, the idea would be to improve what you did, not to do exactly the same thing you did before in a new system. So
makes perfect sense to me, but sometimes you're right, Scott. Sometimes that's not exactly how they approach it. So we try. We do that during the sales process. We make sure that they understand that during the sales process, and we've actually walked away from a couple of opportunities where that's exactly what they asked us to do, and we said, no, I'm sorry, we don't really want to be a part of that. That's not how it's going to be great for you. You're not going to like it. We've been forced down that path before, and can we make it happen? Absolutely. We've got some of the best developers in the space. We've got a fantastic product to develop on. We can make CloudSuite Industrial SyteLine do whatever you want. Somebody I respect very much, once told me that I can make the lights come on and off using SyteLine. So I don't know if you remember saying that, but you did.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, how have ERP integrations helped your manufacturing customers? If someone's listening is considering an ERP upgrade or integration, what would you tell them?
So I would say for sure that organizations that are mature in their understanding and use of technology, all of those organizations have a huge advantage in every market I can think of, especially in ours through B2B manufacturing, which is where we're at. So if you're mature, if you really want to be super successful, you need to be mature in your use of technology. And what that means to me, anyway, is that you have to find the best of breed of some things that are very pointed, pointed solutions, if you will. So CADTALK is an excellent example of that, where it's got a itch to scratch, and its integration to CAD and the ability to help design engineers not have to be ERP folks, and get their data very cleanly, very quickly, and very accurately into the ERP. So, when I started back in manufacturing a couple of years ago, maybe more than a couple, but when I started back in manufacturing, it was, I was an engineer and I did drawings in AutoCAD. We barely had 3D back in those days. It was actually 3D Studio was one of the first 3D packages that we got to use. So long before Inventor came around and we were just drawing. But what it really took was a design engineer to say, hey, here's exactly how I want this thing built. They created drawings. If you think about the drafting tables, now I'm really dating myself. When I was in middle school, there were huge drafting tables in green paper and 4 different sizes or 4 different thicknesses of lead for your pencil, right? You had HBs and just all kinds of crazy stuff, T-squares, and it's crazy. But you did the front view, the side view, the isometric, and the top view, and you said, hey, here it is. You put dimensions on it, that kind of thing. So we did that, but then we also did it in electronically. And then somebody like a manufacturing engineer had to sit down and say, okay, now I got to turn this into ERP stuff. And you take what this design engineer did, and then you try to turn it into ERP stuff. So a bill of manufacturing that includes both a BOM, a bill of materials, and a router, which is really crazy because, design engineers, a lot of times they don't have any idea how you're going to build it. They just want it built, so it takes a manufacturing engineer to kind of say how I'm going to build it. Well, when we moved into the 3D space, and we had the ability now to we can burn through drawings and designs and, we can design it faster than anybody could put it in ERP until something like CADTALK comes along and interprets that model for you and then does the work. And it's exactly how the design engineer drew it. And then the manufacturing engineer is just presented with this, it's almost done, right? All they have to do is add a routing step here or there, decide what they might want to make a assembly out of, and make ahead of time, if they want to make a sub-assembly or something. And CADTALK allows that to happen. So this CADTALK thing, this manipulator of bills of manufacturing and a really cool graphical user interface, better than anything I've seen in an ERP. So you should grab that and integrate it. If you are being mature in your understanding of technology, get that thing and integrate it to your ERP. And the CADTALK team, of course, has created those integrations for you. But it's not just CADTALK. There's things like accounts payable automation. A lot of people send out hundreds of purchase orders a day, a week, a month. And those purchase orders should be confirmed, by the vendor to say, yep, I agree with that price. So here's the date I'm going to send it to you, that kind of thing. And then they're going to ship it. Maybe they send an ASN and say it's on its way, an advanced ship notice. Sorry for those that might not know what an ASN is. So they might send an advanced ship notice to say the shipment's on its way. And then they're going to send an invoice, that you have to turn into a voucher, that kind of thing. And if you do hundreds of these things a week, you can save a ton of time with an AP automation tool of some kind. And so that's where you might decide to leverage something like robotic process automation to do that for you, or you might go out and find a third-party tool that is best in breed. It's what they do, right? All they do is AP automation, and just have them do it. And if you can do that and save a little bit of money, that's fantastic. So integrations need to be a huge part, in my opinion anyway. They need to be a huge part of your technology solution because there's one ERP, one package is not going to do it all. It's just not. Never will. And you don't want it to. You want people to be specific. CADTALK wouldn't be as good as it is if it also had to do ERP.
Exactly right. I think we had an earlier podcast talked about that as well. It's like you kind of want to stitch together these best of breed applications to kind of get the best experience for the customer, because like it's really hard to be good at all things for all people. And another one I can think of is like Avalara or the tax solution.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect example.
Because knowing all of those tax codes and knowing all of those different situations for every different place, and like I don't know anybody who wants to do that. Like, I mean, in order to do that, you have to be focused on it.
Oh, yeah, you talk about some boring stuff, man. Taxes is really bad. Yeah, and they've got a fantastic product too. So shout out to the Avalara team. That Avatax product is fantastic, and the ability to be able to know at the rooftop level, what is that exact sales tax rate is, it's really cool that somebody does that for you. And all we have to do is just integrate to that, and it's all taken care of. So back to your original question, how have integrations helped? Tremendously. Now, I do want a point of clarification though. You want to be careful to make sure. So I think you had mentioned if somebody was looking to go do one of these, what would they think about, and how do integrations play a part in it? You want to be careful to grab a package that has a fantastic platform for those integrations. So we're very fortunate at Infor. We've got the ION platform, the Infor operating service that has a purpose-built platform just for integration. So everything can be done in the same manner. All your APIs and all of that stuff all stored in the same place. So you got error reporting and all kinds of stuff built into the Cloud Suite for you, and not all packages that you would integrate to have that type of platform available for those integrations. So you want to be careful about that. You don't necessarily want to be I want to pick the best customer service module over here, and the best supply chain module over here, and the best manufacturing piece here, and the best scheduling piece here, and try to put those four things together. Really think you do want a fully integrated single DNA ERP system that does all four of those things, and then go find these little itty bitty tasks like the CADTALK one, super important, the AP automation, the Avatax, those types of things. Find those purpose-built specific things, to add into your major package.
Yeah, it's a good distinction. I like that, because there really is like things that really go together well that don't make any sense to to try to put them together. I mean, that's what the ERP does. I mean, like by definition, it's kind of combining all of those things together in order to get kind of quote to cash and keep track of everything, and your scheduling, all that makes sense to be. But like knowing when a best of breed package makes sense and when it doesn't, that's a good distinction. So
yeah. So lean on your advice to the listeners. If you're looking to go down that path, lean on your technology expert that you go get, and find the right one that's going to tell you the right stuff that's important for you. We've I mentioned earlier that we've walked away from some opportunities in the past. We've also told companies that our software is not the best thing for you. So go this other direction, because this is what you really need to do. So find a trusted advisor that can help you through that piece. You do what you do, right? So I'm talking to the manufacturing people now. If you make boats, go make boats. I'll bet you make the best boats. I'll bet you're a great boat maker. But rely on your ERP professionals to help you with your ERP implementation. That's what they do, right? So let them do what they do really well, and you do what you do really well. I'm not going to come in and tell you how to make a boat.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Cool. So, like, what's next for SolutionsX? What projects are you working on?
So, other than the Project Flying Colors and the SuccessX project, we're looking to level up the PMO. So, really kind of making sure. One of the things that we've kind of found is that with that communication, that open, honest, and sometimes candid communication, we're still a little bit late to the game. So we want to try to avoid those situations when possible. So we're going to kind of level up the PMO a little bit. We've had there's a new project manager starting with us very soon. Not going to call out any names, but don't know when this is going to air. So people might be listening to this 50 years from now as well. So
yeah,
maybe not, but they might. They probably, by 50 years from now, they'll probably, it'll just come to them through their pillow or something. But so that's really about what we're doing now, continuing to concentrate on providing a great product to our customer base and our new customers as well. So as you said a little bit earlier in the podcast, one of the things about SolutionsX is that we're different in how we go about the implementation, and that drives successful implementations, I think, more than our peers. And so if we're not continuing to evolve and get better at it, they might catch us. So we're going to just keep trying to get better for our customers so that they get as much return on their investment as possible. It's a big deal to purchase and implement an ERP and have a big technology shift. It's a big deal, and we want to make sure that they're really happy with that. And so we're always constantly continuing to improve that process. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that we're doing right now. Staying out on the tip of the spear. I guess let me say that too. We actually just had an internal meeting where we shared the sales side of the organization shared with the operations side of the organization some of that new technology coming out of the enterprise automation group. So that robotic process automation as an example. So we put together a example of that and shared that with our consulting group last week. I think it was Friday, and they said, "Oh my, does it work?" We're like, well, yes, but it's we're the ones finding all of the things because one of the things that we do here at SolutionsX is we stay out on the tip of the spear. When new stuff comes out, we want to grab it so that we can learn it and make sure that our customers get to leverage it. Because again, it's always about improving or increasing that ROI for our customer.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, you think about all products eventually kind of drive to come towards commodity over time. Everybody kind of you lose. If you really want to have a competitive advantage of a technology, being early is your best bet. I mean, in order to take advantage of that. And then, so if you have a partner like SolutionsX who's on the tip of the spear, finding those things out for you, you're able to leverage that to get a competitive advantage, at least for a little while. And so everybody figures it out.
Yeah, that's right. But also, though, it gives you a voice. So that's kind of a fun thing too. Being out on the tip of the spear, and we'll have one of the first implementations of RPA, robotic process automation, in the CloudSuite Industrial space. There's some out there in some of the large, tier 1 products, but we'll have one of the first ones in as a live customer. And so with that, it's going to bring, plenty of meetings with Infor themselves to say, hey guys, what have you seen? What can we do? What do we need to do to make this better? That kind of thing. So being a customer that's out there on the tip of the spear as well, can have some huge advantages because you can kind of steer the product and help it go where you want it to go, which is kind of fun too.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point because you always get, I think everybody, especially in the manufacturing industry, everybody's so conservative. So they're always like, I don't want to be first to do this thing because there's all this pain associated with it. That people associate that at least that way. But that's also where all the benefits are too, right? That's where all the benefits. So the more, so you got to balance that risk and reward, and I think if I was any manufacturers who are listening, be a little less risk adverse. That's where all the prizes are.
Find a good partner that can help you navigate those waters. And, with the two of you together, it's not nearly as scary, at that point. I think that's how you jump out of an airplane the first time as a civilian too, right? You strap yourself onto somebody and they jump out with you. Right. So
yeah,
that might be a bad analogy. But.
Not the way I did it the first time, but I would recommend that. That's a story for another day.
Did you just go out on a static line? You just went yourself. Oh boy.
Yeah, very unsuccessfully too. I guess it's successful because I didn't lay it.
Yeah, you're still sitting here, so that part was a success.
Yeah, that part was a success. So maybe I'll tell that story on the podcast sometime. It's
there you go.
I have to leave out the expletives, though, I guess.
You know what? You've got a great person that's helping you to get this thing production ready. I'm sure they can bleep you out.
There you go. Well, thanks, David. I think that's we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But it's been awesome having you on here. I think it's I think from just as a recap, I mean, I really want to focus on the idea of that having having somebody really skilled on the implementation side. And really having a top-notch team to help you with an ERP implementation, something as big as an ERP implementation, is just so crucial. And having the right partner to work with, like a SolutionsX, is key to a successful ERP implementation. Anything that you wanted to say as we wrap up, David?
No, thanks. I hope that I did you justice for your first interview. So we'll see as the podcast moves forward. If people start surpassing and saying, "Oh man, that Trout guy from SolutionsX is like third, fourth, fifth best," you're going to have to invite me back. We'll have to level up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll have to do it.
It's been great to be here.
Next time you have a better host too, who does it.
I think you did just fine. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And to your listeners, if there's ever anything we can do for you, you can find us pretty easy, solutionsx.com. So just give us a call.
Absolutely. Thanks, David.
Thank you, Scott.